Ronald Esty here, live. Artists on lockdown, hanging and banging once again. 49 episodes on our way to 52. We're going to be having a big celebration for our 1 year. We are hanging and banging tonight with some special guests. I tell you what, each week we get the backstage stories from legends of rock and roll, and I do it with my brothers. We're going to bring them on now. You know from Dio, you know from Black Sabbath, you know from Last in Line, you know from this show, Artists on Lockdown. Where's Vinny Appice? Come on, my brother. Hi. What are you doing now? You always have an opener. Give me your opening line.
No. I was just looking. I mean, what do you think? I'm thinking of buying this. Hang on. Wait.
You know what? That is so. You know what? That is so you. So I don't know if you remember, but when we were kids, the girls, because my sister had played this game, Mystery Date, and you look like the James Bond mystery date guy with that jacket.
Look at that. I mean, who wears the white jackets? I never see any. Oh, sorry, Ron. I'm sorry. I'm fucking wearing them.
All right, you're
Sorry,
busting my
dude.
chops already. We're 13 seconds into this. You already busted my onions, Vin.
Onions?
I got onions. I got little onions. You should see them. Anyway, tell me about your shirt. What is that, the Blackguards?
I don't know. It's a band. I did an interview online, and they sent me a shirt, and I like the colors of the shirt, the skull thing, but I like the red, kind of blood red thing going on.
Well,
I'm running out of shirts.
I
That's why I'm trying to get the blazer,
I think, yes, I don't know. You gotta be a certain kind of guy. I think that's why you're wearing that shirt for two reasons. First of all, it's a cool shirt. Second of all, it's clean. So, it's not in that pile.
It's pretty clean.
Relatively. Speaking of clean.
They sent me a coffee mug, which I love. It's one of these nice shaped coffee mugs. So every morning.
Oh, really? Coffee. So you use the Blackguard coffee mug every morning?
Black. It's a kind of an Irish rock band. So they're pretty cool.
I'm going to look it up. Hey, you know what? I got to bring this, our guy, our brother, because I just love his look. Or lately, I don't know. It's so fatherly. You know what I'm saying? He's got this fatherly look.
I think it's because you're into white, dude. You're wearing a white jacket.
This is an off-white. This is like a
white
bang,
hair.
So
white hair.
I know, that's what it is. I got it too. Hey, let's bring him to the screen from Vanilla Fudge, Jeff Beck, Rod Stewart, and so many other things from Drum Wars, of course, and from Artists on Lockdown. Carmine, here it is. Here's Carmine Appice with his new look. I need a drum roll. There he is. I would say, no, you know what? No, lose the head for a second.
Okay.
Because look at this guy. He looks good. He's got this.
Look at this.
You got this
hair.
real,
got hair.
Well, God bless him for that. But you got that real, rock and roll Engelbert Humperdinck look. So I don't know how that's.
I do.
What's with that shirt? What's with that shirt?
This is a heavy metal shirt, Vin. It's got all crosses on it.
Really? Sparkly?
Yeah, look. See?
So they make those for men too, right?
They're all crosses. Crosses. I wore that for you, Vinny. I wouldn't wear Bloggett's shirt.
Bloggett!
I used to get shirts. I got shirts from people that I did sessions to.
But Aunt Esty called. She wants her top back.
Aunt Esty? You have an Aunt Esty?
There wasn't Aunt Esty. She's resting in peace for a long time. But I just brought her up.
You should have said Aunt Joyce.
Aunt Joyce, Aunt Joyce, yeah.
Well, may she est in peace. Hey, let's.
I wore this specifically so Vinny can bust my balls.
Well, he's got no left because he.
But I think, Ron, you look really good.
I don't know, man. I'm going down this road. I mean, I was going to use some, I got some major major jackets coming for you, Vin. But I think it's really going to.
Yeah, I have a couple too myself.
I think it's going to literally arouse you.
I'm going to wear them
Vincenzo.
on a party on the first.
Yes, but
First anniversary.
you look like a real freaking Brooklyn guy, man.
I'm
Who?
like I'm ready to
Him?
be in. I'm ready
Yeah,
to
look
be
the
in the
hat.
Sopranos
Not-
movie or the next Quentin Tarantino.
Not with that shirt on. Brooklyn, you
Yeah,
get your
that's
ass
true.
kicked walking around with
outta
something
here.
shiny like that. Forget
That's
about
right.
it.
It's hard to be tough wearing Aunt Estie's Blazers
I
jacket.
know. I knew I wore this just for Vinny to buzz balls.
That's
Well-
because I fixed his computer yesterday. He was having
Oh
a
yeah,
fucking.
man. Oh my
He was
God.
having a shit fit.
I was.
Called me
I'm
3 times. 3 minutes. I
I'm
called my
right in the middle of
girlfriend,
stuff. I'm right in the middle of stuff. I can't fix it.
and
Well,
it was
you know, it's
user error. User error.
Unless you were,
Isn't it
you
nice
were-
to have a little brother you can count on, huh?
Yeah, yeah. But I got to call him 15 times to get him to call me back.
All right,
Every-
all right. Do I
every
got to
5
separate
minutes.
you two? Look, we could talk about your little brotherly freaking issues right now,
All right, come on.
or we could get to some amazing guests that we have
Let's
tonight.
do the guess.
Bring the amazing guest.
Let's bring the amazing guest. I tell you what, I don't know. Every week we're just freaking the people that we have on this show is just tremendous, and tonight is no different. We're gonna start out. You know this guy from MTV. You know him from VH1. You know him from so many. I was actually reading about him in Rolling Stone magazine recently. Let's bring the DJ VJ extraordinaire, Mr. Matt Pinfield.
Hey, what's
Hey,
going
buddy.
on,
Hey,
guys?
Matt.
How are you?
doing? How are you,
Hey,
bro?
great to see you guys. Carmine, good to see you again, man. It was great
Yeah,
to just hang
yeah.
out with you in LA recently. And Vinny, good to see you, buddy. How
Yeah.
are
You too,
man?
Matt. How you doing? Good.
Doing great,
Seen you in a
man.
while.
Well, yeah, it's great to see you again too. You know, I was just thinking about the first time I saw you live with Derringer, man, in like the
Oh.
77, 78.
Holy
when I-
shit.
New York Palladium, and it's been
Wow.
yeah, it's been. I just I had these long talk as soon as I found Carmine. Of course, I was right there at his ear because I love I've been a fan for so long, and a big record for me as a kid was the Beck Bogart of Peace album. I heard it
Yeah.
on any WFM when I was a kid. I heard Why Should I Care, and I went, I'm going to go out and buy that when I was like 11 years old. I mowed a lawn and delivered papers to buy it, and I bought that record.
You should have
And,
called me. I would have gave you a copy.
I know. I wish I would have known your number. I would have looked it up, but I don't think you would. Who's this kid calling me from New
If
Jersey?
you would have looked it up, you would have got my mother and father.
Yeah,
Isn't that something?
that's amazing, right?
They did get phone calls. At the
And
house.
and Vinny, besides the Derringer stuff, I love you. And Holy Diver and Mob Rules,
thanks.
all the things, just killer. So
Thank you.
it's great to hang with the brothers. And I want to say too, Ron, and I've said this to Carmine before, but and I just had this conversation here in this studio, and I'll tell you about that in a second. But my favorite cover of all time, my favorite cover song ever, is the Vanilla Fudge "You Keep Me Hanging On." I think it's the greatest
man.
cover ever recorded, and I've said this forever. I said the fact that almost less than a year to the release of the original Supremes version, you guys put that out, deconstructed that song. It's still as powerful today as it was when I got that record when I was a 6-year-old kid. I bought that 45 on Atco. I actually made a T-shirt out of it, and I should have worn it today. I didn't think
you should
I have
have.
a T-shirt that is the label of the single that says Atco. You keep me hanging on to Vanilla Fudge right there, and because I think it's one of the greatest recordings of all time. I mean, I just
hey,
never
Matt.
lets up.
But Matt, just to add on to that, because he gets a little shy here, but to add on that whole greatest recording of all time, something that I learned on this show, and we've referenced it a couple times. Not only is it one of the greatest, if not the greatest recording of all time, it was done in 7 minutes for one take
mono.
with no monitors.
Live. It was live.
Which is unbelievable.
Unbelievable.
I mean, the way you're playing like a train, man. You're just like that feeling, the stop and start, everything. Mark Stein's voice, it's so good. Tim,
Yeah.
I mean,
But we're mixing now. We're mixing "Stop in the Name of Love"
yeah.
with Tim on it.
Really?
Tim passed away.
Oh, I know it was sad when Tim.
And we're going to try and get it out in the month of June. That's when we released "Hangin' On," 54 years ago.
Yeah, unbelievable.
Send it to Quentin Tarantino and David Chase
You should
Yeah.
because,
both of them had "Hangin' On" in their movies.
and I love the fact that Quentin went at the end of Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I
Yeah.
was so excited it was
Yep.
on there. and he did his own edit of it, which he credits himself because what he took the album version and the single version, and he kind of like did a hybrid so it worked for the time, and it was so perfect for the end of that movie, and it's still honestly one of my favorite recordings of all time. I tell everyone that, and it's like
funny. My older brother, it was his birthday a couple of days ago, and he called me yesterday, and he said, "Oh man, I saw this movie, Quentin Tarantino's movie, and Vanilla Fudge was in it. Did you know that?"
Carmine knows all when it comes to that.
When it comes to that. I work with
where's
his
the check? Where's the check?
Yeah.
I work with his office putting the mix together and all that.
Oh, that's cool that you did that. That's amazing. And I love that. So with you two guys and drummers, and by the way, I'm in a studio right now. I am in Fisher, Texas. It's an hour outside of Austin. And the board behind me is the actual Neve board from Graceland, the one that Elvis was Elvis Presley. And they would sometimes ship it around.
I thought it was a green screen behind it.
No, it's real. It's actually that.
Wow.
There's also James Brown's microphone that he used for Papa's Got a Brand New Bag is here. And Carole King.
What are you doing there?
I'm out here working on a project. So I'm here for a few days. And it's really nice. It's in Hill Country. Nice. And a guy who was from Austin who had been a major original Fender dealer who had got George Jones and people like that their first ever Fender guitars. Actually got a lot of the equipment here. So he bought Carole King's piano she used on Tapestry. Her piano is here in the other room. Wow. He bought it in '73 from A&M Studios where she recorded Tapestry.
I saw you tweet that picture.
Yeah, it's beautiful. And this place is incredible. I'm just hanging out here doing some work. There's 4 golden retrievers running around. They're great dogs. It's just a cool, super cool vibe. But I love the music history stuff, and so
absolutely.
So being on here with you guys, with Carmine, you and Vinny,
you're on the right show.
Yeah, and I gotta also tell you that the guy who got me set up in here today, who's a drummer, said "Realistic Rock," the book. He loved that book. Carmine was like, he said it was the thing that got him really that's what he got him into drums.
Vinny good too.
Yeah.
Actually, I didn't go through that book.
Liar.
No, I didn't. I went through Stick Control, Syncopation, old Dick's book, Our Teacher Dick.
Yeah.
And then but I heard him on record, so I copped all his stuff on record. It was easy. A piece of cake.
Speaking of copping stuff and having great drumming, let's bring the next guest.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
You know what? I don't know. What's he got to do with copying things, though? But, we'll find out. You know him from Styx, of course, but just a great guy. He's got some great stories. I can't wait because I've got a personal thing with this guy. I can't wait to bring to the show. Let's bring him, Todd Sucherman from Styx.
Yeah.
Hi, Todd.
Hey.
Todd.
Right. Gentlemen, how are you?
Todd.
Good to see you, brother.
Likewise, thank you for having me today. Regards and respects to you all.
Yeah, man.
Is that real drums behind you? Is that your house?
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I mean on the wall.
Oh yeah.
Shit.
I could go and hit them, but I was born with more cord than this actually. But yes.
Mark Shillman told me to say to Todd, "Can I borrow a snare drum?"
No,
he
doesn't have one.
As long as I get it back.
Oh my God.
Well, these guys have drum wars. You've got drum porn because look at behind you. I mean, really. And what's kind of one of the sexiest thing about that is your racks, is those shelves.
Oh, thank you.
I mean, you got a nice rack there, buddy.
But I don't know how interesting this is, but the original racks over here were actually lac shelving from IKEA that I got when I lived in Los Angeles.
Okay.
Easily 20 years ago. And those are long discontinued. And so I had to have a carpenter make them, replicate them at a much greater expense than what IKEA was.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So,
very cool.
But yeah, had to keep it symmetrical.
That's cool. My snare drums are under a table, a coffee table. And,
that's the thing. We've had so many drummers on this show, obviously, and they all have them either in forest piles or here and there. I mean, that is the most organized. It's almost like an exhibit.
Well, I know you guys remember like Frank's Drum Shop and Drums Limited in Chicago, right?
Sure. Yeah.
I grew up in Chicago, and my father would take me down there, and there are 2 competing drum shops that were just a couple doors down from each other, and you'd go there, and there'd be like the little old guy with like the bellman hat, like right out of a David Lynch movie. You know, the little guy that would run the elevator, and you get in the elevator, go up to the 4th floor, and the elevator doors would open, and it was like the Willy Wonka. You know, you walk in.
Right.
So if I were to psychoanalyze myself, I think I kind of wanted to create that vibe, that childhood wonderment vibe every time I walk in here.
So here's the thing. First of all, I'm a huge fan of Todd, and he's a Chicago guy, so you got to love that. You know, we share that in common, of course. It's so many people that watch this show. But if you're from Chicago and you're old, I'll say, you know about something that was huge from the 1930s to, I don't know, you have to correct me, Todd, about 1960s. But there was a joint. There was a joint. You know where I'm going here, Todd. There was a joint called the Chez Paris. And that was the place. That was the club. That's where, after all the big shows, Sinatra, Dean Martin, Sammy Davis, Louis Prima, everybody hung at. It was amazing. Gene Krupa, all of them. And a guy by the name of Jay Schatz owned it, or not originally, but in the 40s. I got to know him and his daughter. And it's an amazing, amazing place. It's not around anymore, but with amazing history. And Todd's dad was the house drummer for this place.
He was one of the house guys for 18 years there and played with everybody. He did a gig on Krupa's drums when Krupa went there. He let him use his drums. But yeah, I mean, you know, he was a doctor. He was a podiatrist by day, and he gigged at night. And he had offers to go on the road, but he could never go for more than like a couple of weeks. He was Lena Horne's drummer for a while in the 40s and maybe early 50s. And he did some stuff like that. But yeah, you know, do you remember then in the 90s, the location where the Chez Paris was, 610 North Fairbanks, that was a place called River North Recording Studio. Mm-hmm. So as I was coming up the ranks in Chicago, that was one of the big studios. So it was a buzz for me to think, this is where the Chez Paris was. And now I'm working here, you know, decades and decades later. So yeah, it's really crazy.
Well, that explains why your father took you to a drum shop. Because my father never took me to a drum shop. Right, Vince?
Oh, no.
Well, my dad.
Sam Ash. We went to Sam Ash.
Yeah.
Right.
That was it.
But my father's office was downtown, and it was like 3 blocks from the drum shops. So on Wednesdays and Saturdays, he worked half days. I'd go down there and just, you know, be a kid, hang out at his office, and then, all right, let's go. Boom. And we'd go hit both places. And, you know, I just walk around with my wide eyes, my mouth open.
So
you know,
just another question. All the drums in the back that are piled up, are they all the same brand?
This is the Sonar Forest, and then over there is the Pearl Forest. I've got my father's Slingerland kit. You really can't see it. It's over there, which is with an 18-inch bass drum. Wow. And then I've got the Cantaloupe Monstrosity over here, a 1978 Premier Octopus style Concertom 6-16. So three really different vibes.
I know, it's incredible. And that's where I was going.
Do you have room to move around?
Oh yeah. Again, I'm sort of tethered to this, but you know, there's a pathway that way and this way over to the studio area.
Yeah, because my place in the guest house, I got what used to be the living room. The drums are in there with the computer, and I got a coffee table I used to have from Brooklyn. I got the speakers on there and all that. Underneath that, I got snare drums, you know. But walking out, it's like it's like an obstacle course, you know.
No. Yeah, you just want to make sure.
And the room mics are in here. See, the room mics are here. The drums are in there, and the room mics are here in the living room.
Would you ever hire yourself out, Todd, to be like a interior decorator and help, like, you know, drummers, wayward drummers organize themselves?
Well, I mean, that's the thing. I mean, like playing the drums, we all have our own styles. Everyone has their own way they want to set up their space, whether there's thought put to it or it's just stuff's everywhere. But I don't know. They'd have to buy all this stuff, and then I could set it up just like this.
I mean, I have a locker in LA that's probably as big as your room, filled up with junk, with drums. I mean, it's just filled, but it's nowhere organized like that.
But do you guys have like a backlog of old kits and touring kits? Do you still have a lot of the stuff in the old days?
Yeah, Carmine has more.
I have a Slingerland Purple Leopard Radio King kit that Slingerland made in 2004 before they closed. It's got 4 bass drums, right? 22s, 24s. It's got 10, 12, 13, 16, 18, and a 20 by 20 Gene Krupa kind of floor tom. All right, and it's hand painted. You open up the case, you can still smell the paint. I never even played the drums because it's so beautiful. And I said, well, how much is something like this worth? And he said, as much as somebody wants to pay for it.
Yeah, right.
I said, it's the only one in the world. You know?
Wow, don't sell that,
And
brother.
I got
Don't
that.
sell
I got a
that.
couple of Mapex. I got a D drum. I've got just couple of old snare drums. I have a 1924. I'm sure you have a 1924 Ludwig Black Beauty.
That's one thing I don't have. I never splurged on the old Black Beauty. I got a 1937 Leedy Broadway. It's a beautiful drum, but I mean, I have a bunch of Black Beauties, but they're modern day, and John Aldridge engraved one of them.
I bought mine in a pawn shop. That's PAWN. $5. I paid $5. And in 1968, I couldn't get the cat guts, so I put a 1968 snare system on there.
Oops.
And they say
It kills the
killed
value.
some of the value, but because it's mine,
Plummet.
and mine's a 15-inch.
But you play it. I was always
I
freaked
still
out
play
at the catgut stuff. I'm like, I'm just buying a piece of art or a vase or something,
Yeah, I play it.
The
It sounds really great.
The best thing I got, all the drums are in the garage, some drums in here. I got John Bonham's drumstick hanging on the wall.
That's cool.
Where did you get that, Vinny? Where did you?
I was in Spain in the 80s, and some girl came up and said, hey, you want this? And I look, it says John Bonham. I went, yeah. And I kept it in my sock drawer for 40 years or something. And finally, I verified it with Hard Rock Cafe. They had one of his sticks hanging on the wall. And I look at it, it's the same exact stick. It just says John Bonham in script. There's no name of the stick on it. And he played with the tip, And then I asked Jason, when I saw Jason Bonham, I described the stick, and he said, yeah, that's his stick. So then I got it mounted and put it on the wall finally before I lose it,
The Holy Grail. The Holy Grail.
Yeah.
Hey, Matt.
Amazing.
You know what?
Hey.
I was touching on this prior to the show. We all are. I know I am a huge fan of yours, following you on your journey. It's been, a little bit of a rocky road, a great career, but a little bit of a rocky road. And, you came back strong, brother. Real proud of you. How you feeling these days?
Oh, I feel great. I'm sober. I passed. Last Saturday was a year sober.
God bless
Oh,
you.
good.
So
Hey,
I'm
good
doing
for you,
good, man.
Good.
Just feeling really good, guys. And most important thing to me, obviously, is music and my kids. My family, and I just so, I'm completely feeling great. Better than ever. You guys know I got hit by a car 2.5 years ago. You may or may not know, but that happened.
An accident.
Yeah, that was
I didn't know.
craziness.
I didn't know.
And,
I didn't know.
Carmine, I was literally crossing the street in Hollywood. I was sober, actually, while I was crossing the street. A woman ran a red light, 40 miles an hour. I tried to jump out of the way, snapped my leg in half, compound fracture.
Oh.
Head went through her windshield.
Oh,
she
my.
hit the brakes. I went in like a bullet, and it tore my head open and tore my ear off. And then I just literally flew out and about 15 feet landed on my back and my head, and miraculously wasn't paralyzed.
Wow.
But I learned how to walk again. I was on a walker for a long time.
I hope you
Still
got-
going to rock shows. Still going to rock shows. And also,
I hope
and
you
having
got
a
a
cane.
Hope
Nothing
you got a
stopped
good
you.
lawsuit on that one. Oh
You know,
my God.
I'll be honest with you guys. I didn't, because the person had really bad insurance and they didn't really have anything. And we did an asset
God,
search.
That's
and-
horrible.
So, I could barely make my hospital bills. But, here's how I look at it in a positive light. I try to put a positive spin on it. And that is, I could have been one of those people that got a lot of money, but no longer could use my legs or speak
right.
or have my face smashed up. So I got to look at the bright side that I'm grateful. I can still do my radio shows, man. I can go see music. I've got full use of my legs.
Wow.
Just a metal rod in there, but I'm hiking at Griffith Park. I'm all over the place.
Well,
So,
what kind of rod? A Rod Stewart?
right. Speaking of, Guys, I mean, it's amazing. I just love that I'm with the two brothers. And Todd, it's great to meet you too. I know that.
You're not far away, man. How far out of Austin are you right now?
All right, I'm in Fisher, so I'm in Hill Country. I'm like literally, it's like in that area of Fisher. So it's Studios by Fisher is this place. And like I said, they bought right behind me is Elvis Presley's the knee board from Elvis Presley's Graceland they would disassemble in 3 pieces and send it on the road, but it ended up there. The Carole King piano's in the next room, and a bunch of other really cool stuff that's here. And I just so I'm out here working on a project, and it's just really nice to be out because I'm usually in LA, you know what I mean, and, for now.
But because I'm west of Austin in Bee Cave, and I fell in love with the hill country out here. It's just the beginning of the hill country before it really gets further out west. But it's beautiful, isn't it?
It's gorgeous. I think I'm a little closer to San Antonio, which I haven't been there in years, but it's really nice. And like I said, I love Austin, and I think it's great.
Texas is cool. Texas is great. There's a lot of great places in Texas.
A lot of great music history too. Yeah. You know what I mean? And I just love. I mean, I still have not gone to Lubbock, Texas, because I want to go to Buddy Holly's birthplace, or Clovis, New Mexico, where Norman Petty's studio was, where he would cross the border and record. I mean, there's so much history, man. I love all of that,
Yeah, that's the thing. That's what the show's all about the history. Todd, obviously, this in July coming up, it'll be the 25th anniversary of the loss of original Styx drummer John Panazzo, and also when you took over for him as a friend of the band at the time. It's going to be a very special time in July when we hit that mark. You came into the band when John wasn't well.
Correct.
And you were just trying to make things happen. And then they asked you to join full time when he passed. When that happened, I mean, what was going through your head about you can't really plan or try on filling shoes, that kind of thing, but that's a huge freaking responsibility, man. I mean, what was going through your heart, mind, and soul when that was happening?
Well, I mean, I remember that week we were in New York for a week. We had a couple shows, and we were doing some TV shows out there as well. And I had all the records when I was growing up, so I knew the material. I was in bands that played the songs. So when they asked me to do the summer tour, I was not intimidated musically, but from all accounts, from everyone that I heard and friends of the band and their families, John Panazzo was the funniest guy they'd ever met. So he was a big personality. Maybe how Kenny Jones felt replacing Keith Moon.
Sure.
There's a giant personality that's no longer there, and he's dead. So that makes it even, kind of weirder. And in my case, the bass player was his twin brother.
His brother, yeah.
So,
wow.
I had to, kind of gauge the landscape, and sort of see how things felt personally as opposed to, just musically, because I was a constant reminder that one of us isn't here anytime they turned around, and in Chuck's case, his brother. So when he died, it was unexpected, but looking back, it was expected because he was really in critical shape. But he passed away. We all met in Chuck's room. We talked about, canceling a show and when there was going to be a service, when we'd fly in and do that, blah, blah, blah. And I made myself very scarce. I went out with one of my best friends who lived in New York, went out to eat, went to a couple bars. And when I came back to the hotel, I walked in, and I mean, this is a moment I'll never forget. I heard JY's laugh, James Young laughing in the bar. And the hotel elevators were to my left and the bar was to the right. And I could hear the other guys in there. And I thought, if I walk in there, am I going to be a reminder that their friend and brother just died? Will I get a murky reception? Should I just sort of, piss off and go to the hotel or go to my room? And, that would have been the easy choice. But I decided right there, no, I'm going to go in. I'm going to say hi. And when I walked in there, it was immediately like, oh, Todd, hey. And, they pulled up a chair. And I sat with them and I listened to them tell John stories. They'd laugh and they'd cry and they'd laugh and they'd cry. And I think that was sort of the moment that, I literally had a seat at the table from that point on. And come to think of it, they've never really told me I have the job. I've just been kind of hanging around for 25 years now. Think about it.
That's your 25th
Hey, I have a
anniversary.
question. When you got the gig, did you have a lot of drums at that point in your life?
Yeah, not this, but I did. I had several kits, and I probably had 20 snare drums. Yeah.
Yeah. So how did you pick what you were going to take on the tour?
Well, I was a Sonar guy back then, and I had just purchased the year before a Designer Series kit, which was like the top of the line at that time. So I thought, well, I have this, and that's what I used. I didn't do the whole, calling them up and then trying to finagle some sort of thing. I love these drums. This is my instrument right now. I'm gonna use these. So it was a very simple decision at that point. Not a great story, but it was a simple decision.
What are you playing now? What brand are you playing now?
I've been with Pearl for 20 years, 21 years now. So this is a Masterworks kit in black limba, maple gum with 24 karat gold hardware and a gold rack. I don't know if you can really see, like even the clutch is gold. Gold.
Wow.
Oh yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
So yeah, this has been the kit that just stays here. It doesn't go anywhere. It's been, and this rack has been here, since 2010.
Actually, I had Pearl for a while, and my Pearl were gold hardware. Well, it was actually brass hardware. They're black bass drums with red lacquer tom toms, And then I had the reverse. I had red bass drums with black lacquer toms with all brass hardware. Yeah, they look really good. Pearl made
It's gorgeous
they
stuff.
make good drums.
Hey
Yeah.
Todd,
Hey,
what
guys.
kind of video switch you got there with all those cameras?
This is a Black Magic Design 810 Mini.
Oh, okay.
There's the foot cam.
Look at that.
Yeah.
And we're just trying to get Carmine not to have his phone ring during the show.
I'm looking that up now.
And look what you guys have. Oh my God. Each week we do
What kind of wait a minute, what kind of cameras are those? Are they all the same cameras too?
GoPros?
These? Yeah,
Yeah.
these are GoPro Hero 7 Black.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean,
Have
you
you
spared
been-
no expense there, man.
Hey Todd, have you been like just doing some lockdown remotes from there and doing back and forth? Because I know you guys have a new album coming out. You guys have a new album coming out, right?
Yeah, we do. We just announced it last week, actually. I mean, when I built this place, I just wanted a soundproof place where I could go. And then out of necessity, it became a recording studio. And then with the pandemic, it became a film studio. So
Yeah.
I wonder what it'll become next. So I got all this stuff, and when the pandemic hit, I'm not an engineer. I don't know how to run any of this stuff. I don't have the interest in spending untold hours troubleshooting electronics, because I see people who know how to run the stuff, how much crap they got to fix. And that's, if you remember the beginning of SCTV with the TV sets going out the window,
Yep.
Yeah.
that would be me trying to figure this stuff out.
It would be a great bar.
That's what it would end up being, that except there's no restroom out here. Everyone would have to go in the house.
That's right.
But there's a program called Audio Movers Listen To, and that is on the main setup over there. And any engineer anywhere in the world can run the rig, and then other people can get a private invite link, and they can listen in their studios in full res audio. So I've been doing records like that where, hey, can you play something different going into the second chorus? Sure. Punch me in, JR, my engineer, who's at his house, and boom. And so we did the new Styx record here like that. I did 17 songs in 3 days.
Wow.
Problem free.
It's fabulous, man. What a gorgeous
That's
setup.
amazing.
Who set that
each
all
week
up
we
for
do
you?
Not me.
Right?
yeah, right.
He just said not him.
No, JR, because this was last June. So he masked up. I open up, come on in, put that stuff in there, make it work, and get the hell out of here.
So which one of the Black Magics one? I got them online now. Which one is yours?
The Mini.
The Mini?
810 Mini, yeah.
Black Magic ATEM Mini?
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
That's the one.
cool.
Order half a dozen.
Yeah, did you do that Dom Flammariello video thing yet?
I actually did.
Yeah, I just did mine yesterday. It took me 4.5 hours. I was the engineer, I was the video guy, and I played. It was
Okay.
a nightmare.
Forget about it.
Forget about it.
I'm actually got Nico McBrain's coming over here on Monday to
Nico.
do his, and I'm going to engineer and video him.
Good
Please
luck
tell him
on that.
hello.
Yeah,
Good luck on that.
yeah, I know.
Good luck
When-
on that one.
When
great.
video's involved, man,
Oh,
it's a whole nother
nightmare.
story.
Nightmare.
Except
And
for
then-
Todd, he's set up.
And I did.
Yeah, but
and I-
that's what everyone wants now. Everyone, hey, can you do drum tracks? And I'm like, hey, can you film it? And I'm like, so I got to shower now.
Yeah,
Yeah, right.
right.
You got to do your hair
Exactly.
now. Like,
Yeah, I can't wear my
Vinny's got
jammy
some
pants and
hats he can
slippers.
send you. Use a Vinny
You're
hat.
right. He's
I mean, I have
absolutely
my
right.
underwear on now, but nobody can see below here. You know.
Me too.
I hope your
On
underwear
on
stuff is
those-
sparkly.
Not
On those
sparkly.
visuals. On those visuals.
Hey, Ron, what are
Everybody
you
gotta make
wearing
sure-
under that jacket?
I bet you'd like to know, bro, right? I bet you'd like to know.
Your golfing
So
shorts? I saw
Well,
that golfing
interesting.
thing.
That was
Well,
good.
you know what? We're going to show a little bit. Each week we do a commercial on the show coming up next week. Carmine and Vinny have been doing it. I did one for this show. Let's go to our commercial about what's
Excellent.
happening next week. Make sure everybody subscribes to our YouTube channel, our Facebook page, of course, and our podcast on Spotify. Okay, let's see. Vinny, pay attention now. Let's see what's happening next week.
When I'm not getting my balls busted by my rock and roll brothers Carmine Apiece and Vinny Appice on Artists on Lockdown Hanging and Bangin each week, I am banging my balls on the golf course. Coming up next Thursday, so excited, one of my favorite rock and roll bands, The Alarm, Mike Peters, Smiley Bernard. I'll see you, Artists on Lockdown Hanging and Bangin, Thursday night, 6 p.m. Central. Hell yeah!
Very good.
Every Thursday, Artists on Lockdown Hanging and Banging, just like tonight with these guys. We got Matt Pinfield, Todd Sucherman with us tonight. And you guys, thank you so much for joining us. This is just so much fun.
Hey, I like that little leg twist you did there. That was kind of
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
very happy of you, know, very happy.
You know,
I
it's
thought he
something-
made a good host. It was like a really good, high energy commercial. I thought
Come
it was
on.
good.
I mean, so you got to see
dude.
what we're comparing these
See,
that commercial
Todd,
to guys.
Todd
what
and
these guys
Matt,
have
this
done.
is Ron's first commercial, so we're critiquing
Give it a
here
shot.
on the air.
You
I
did
gave it a
you
shot.
did a good job, Ron. It reminded me of some of the, I'm sure some of the commercials that Vinny and Carmine and I saw, you know, growing up, coming up in the years on New York TV, right?
Exactly. New
Back
York
in the
TV.
day, you know, PIX or NEW,
Yeah.
5, 9, and 11, right? I mean, those, you know.
Yeah.
But it's
That was
amazing.
Matt, you've obviously done so many interviews, so many shows, talked to so many people, but I've got some just questions I want to know all about in 2005 when you brought the Rolling Stones together in the same room. First time, I don't know, was it like in 30 years or something?
Yeah, it was about 33 years, I guess, or something to that effect, where they had all been in the same room during an interview. And then since then, they haven't done it either, which was a pretty amazing thing. It was I consider myself very lucky and blessed to have done it. It was, you know, around the time of the album A Bigger Bang. And when Charlie Watts, guys, we got 3 drummers on here. When Charlie got the throat cancer, the guys got they started to think about their mortality, you know. And so what they had done for the first time in years when they made that album A Bigger Bang was they actually made the record together. Because, you know, for all those 80s albums and the early, like, and 90s albums, after Tattoo You, were, you know, they were never in the same place together, almost never, or at least not all of them. Maybe at 2 at the most if you were lucky. Everything was done remotely, kind of like everybody's been doing things since the lockdown, right? You know.
Yeah, right.
But so they were putting out a new album, and I had just done like an event. I've done many album specials over the years. You know, when people put out an album, and the radio will carry it, rock radio will carry it, and I had just done with U2 for the How to Dismantle an Atomic Bomb one at Sony Studios, and Jagger watched it, and he saw, or he listened to it. I'm sorry, but he listened to it. And when they were looking for somebody to do it, he said, let's get that guy Matt Pinfield. So I was very blessed. I was lucky. And they walked in, guys, like 2 minutes before airtime. It was like the studio's premiere
that now I guess iHeart owns on top of Radio City Music Hall. And I'm sitting there. Luckily, I taped the intro already, right? And I'm standing there, and literally, I'm like, where are these guys? And all like the main Clear Channel dudes are in the other window. And then, sure enough, first guy in is Ronnie. Ronnie Wood comes in and sits down right over here. And he had just gotten out of rehab at that point, okay? And next was Keith. Keith came in, and he was drinking Grey Goose and Fanta orange soda. That was his drink. And I was like, Keith, where's the Jack and Cokes? What's going on? Anyway,
real man here.
Yeah, like, so I asked. Anyway, and then of course next, Mick came in, and then Charlie. And the four of them sat down in like a semicircle around me on the other side of the table. I was where the controls and the computer was, and I sat there and I did a 2-hour live interview with the Stones that was being broadcast all over the United States. Wow. And I will tell you something, guys, you'll appreciate, because some people would think, oh, they're going to be jaded. Oh, they're not going to want to talk about anything. Oh, they've seen it all. They were having so much fun. They were so enthusiastic. I mean, everybody's personality is exactly what you would think. I mean, Keith was joking around, having a great time. Mick was the consummate gentleman, bringing it back around during the interview. Charlie, I was told, this is a great story. I was told by their press guy, this guy named Peter King or John King, who had been with them literally since the London record days. I think he was with them like all the way since like Aftermath or something. And he said to me, he goes, Matt, I want to tell you something. When you go to ask Charlie a question, count to 3 slowly. If he doesn't answer, turn and go to one of the other guys. So I asked Charlie Watts a question, right? So I go like this. I'm like, I ask a question, and I'm counting in my mind. 1, 2. And sure enough, he jumps right in at 3, so I never had to do it. He got there quick enough, but I guess in some past interviews, they were a little concerned. But the best part about it, guys, that you'll appreciate as Stones fans, right, is that when we were off, like when we were playing the album, because it was all live, it wasn't taped and then cut together. This was being done live for 2 hours, being broadcast around the U.S. and New Zealand and Japan at the same time. I was talking to them about I don't know, like B-sides of like Jumpin' Jack Flash, Child of the Moon. Talking about when they played the Capitol Theater in Passaic for the Some Girls Tour. They did a small show there in 1978. And just like asking them all kinds of questions about different things. And they were literally, not only would they answer my question, but then they would start a conversation between them. So all the Stones, and they were it was like kind of like it got them excited, and it was really great. So at the end of the interview, Mick said to me, he goes, man, Matt, he goes, that was a great interview. And then Keith says, he goes, Matt, he goes, that was a great interview. It was fucking painless. He said it was painless. I'll never forget it. And that's a compliment coming from Keith, right?
And since they haven't done it since, I mean, that's a huge compliment.
Yeah, they've only done them separate. Like I've seen them do some, when they re-released like Exile or Some Girls or, Goat's Head, whatever it happens to be, they will do them separately. It's kind of back to just Keith and Mick doing all the interviews separately. So it was really like, I'm honored that I got the opportunity to do that. What a blessing it was. And they were just so cool. You know what I mean? And
is that on YouTube or anything?
The audio is. Yeah, there's some audio clip. Yeah, because at the time there wasn't really video. It was a radio broadcast. So, but there were pictures and stuff like that. I wish. Don't you wish? I wish I had photos. I mean, of a lot of things.
What year was that, Matt? What year?
Like 2003 or 4. I mean, I think like 4 or 5, somewhere like that.
It was 5 actually.
Yeah. So it was around that time, but it was incredible to have the opportunity to do that with the Stones. So
that's really.
I mean, it means a lot to me because it's like when I talk to you guys, everybody on this call, and I've been fans of all of yours for a long time. It's one of those things where I love to do band interviews and I love rock and roll and I've loved rock. It's been driving me all my life. So the people that have gotten interviewed, I feel very, very blessed. Paige Plant and John Paul Jones or Townsend and Daltrey or I mean, it's just been an incredible experience for me. Paul and Ringo, Ringo and I actually are friends. Out here, when I'm back in Los Angeles, which is amazing that to hang with.
He's the only guy, the only Beatle I never met.
Which you guys would get along great. You guys would get along unbelievably. I know that, and I know he knows who you are because I know we've talked about music
Oh, yeah.
You know, on a Monday night
I
with
did one
group-
of his the DVD dedicated to Ringo a few years ago, and he was on the cover, and he had to approve it all. So I know he don't know who Vinny is, but he knows who I am.
Hey, can I ask you guys? Did you? Because you guys grew up in
Jesus.
New York. I gotta just ask you, Carmine, Vinny, did you guys ever see the Beatles? You played like you were playing at the same time for a while.
I played with John Lennon for a bit.
You were on like Walls and Bridges, right? Was that what you did? some
Around
stuff
that
on?
time, yeah. And then we started with doing hand claps on the Whatever Gets You Through the Night, my band. But I was
Yeah.
like 16 years old. I was going to high school. And then we had a room up the record plant to rehearse. We were managed by them, and John would come in all the time and sit down, watch us, smoke some joints with them, and played pool with them. And then he asked us to do a couple of videos. And then he asked us to do a live show at the New York Hilton that was on TV. And we did it. And I was still going to high school the next day. So it was
Hey,
really
tell him
crazy.
that story. Tell him the high school story.
That's
And
amazing.
then I found out a couple of years ago that was his last live appearance.
Wow.
So I would go to school the next day, and I'm drumming on the desk, and all that shit. The teacher's trying to teach, and she's going, wait a minute, who's that drumming? And she point, Vincent, stop that drumming. And I'd stand up and go, hey, excuse me, did anyone else in this room play with one of the Beatles last night?
That's great.
And I got up and left. I left. That was it.
Yeah.
But
You
that,
like it?
That's the cool parts of the human parts of you guys. I mean, you guys are big stars, but you're also fans as well. And I go to Todd because Todd, you guys in LA and other in Nashville, whatever. There's so many stars, so many big bands. Chicago, we have Smashing Pumpkins. We don't Earth, Wind and Fire. We don't have a whole lot. But Todd, you're growing up in Chicago.
But you had Gene Krupa.
I know, but we didn't have Gene Krupa. My dad had Gene Krupa.
Yeah.
But who Todd
did.
and I had, we're got to be relatively the same age, kind of.
Yeah.
Todd and I had Styx, and all of a sudden, you're playing for them, Todd. What did that hit you? Like, I know we talked about the John connection there, but as a fan of Styx, and all of a sudden, you're from Chicago to play with one of Chicago's, pinnacle bands. How did that make you feel?
My first meeting with them was I was called for a session to ghost drum for John. A&M was going to put out the definitive Styx greatest hits. Lady, which is their first hit, was on another record label, and there was some thing about not getting the sound, the rights to the original sound recording. So they thought, let's re-record it, and that's when John was in ill health. This would have been in March of '95. So it was just a recording session for me, which I was doing a lot of in those days in Chicago. I was doing a lot of jingles. I was doing like 20 to 30 sessions a month. I'm like, why the hell do I want to move to LA or New York? This was great. But that was just I went in, I played the song. Great to meet you guys. I saw you guys as a kid. I had all your records, and goodbye, and you leave like a session guy. But it wasn't until the next year that they asked me, what are you doing this summer? Would you be interested in doing this? And the gig is still John's, predicated on, if he gets better. So there wasn't a lot of time to kind of do the pinch me thing, because there was a task to be completed.
Right.
There was a job to be done. I knew the music, so I had to play the music and make sure that those guys were comfortable and make them be able to do their thing. And it really wasn't until I think the first time we played Chicago on that first tour,
Sure.
where I realized, holy shit, I've got, 30 people out there, and teachers, grade school teachers and friends. And that's when it kind of hit me. And then I immediately had to stop writing that useless wave of emotion and get back, or I'd screw up the tempo. I'd play the songs too fast if I dwelled on that type of thing. So I'm pretty good at swiping away the gee, isn't this great, pinch me moments, and getting the job done. And then there'll be time to reflect on, Ain't Life Grand later, when I'm not in the midst of it.
Right.
I was
Todd.
there, I was actually there, and I remember it well, only because I remember like yesterday the tribute that they did to John with his picture up on the video screen, like really like massive, and it was such an emotional show.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
amazing.
they all were after he died. I mean, that's, I had never had the experience of doing a full scale tour like that until that point, and then having the guy I replaced die in the middle of it. I mean, the whole thing was very,
Surreal.
yeah, it was, yeah.
Matt, did you have a question? I'm sorry.
Oh, it's funny. I was just going to say to Todd, it's interesting because that whole thing with Lady, it's kind of cool that ended up working out that way, that they couldn't get the rights to it, because it was originally on this indie label called Wooden Nickel that RCA distributed.
Right.
And supposedly the guy who owned that label was a dick, and he didn't want to under any circumstances license it for some kind of whatever. It was hurt feelings. So that worked out great, regardless. And that version you guys did on that CD was really good. I mean, it was a great version of it.
It worked out great for me and bad for him because that sold about 3 million copies that he would have had a taste of if he would have said yes. But that worked out all right for me.
Perfect.
As you know, some people cut off their nose to spite their face.
Let's fast forward to your solo album.
Holy moly!
Todd, let's fast forward to your solo album. The first time.
Okay, the last flight home.
Last Flight Home. Your Last Flight Home solo album. It seemed like, now, were you doing vocals on that?
Yeah.
Incredible.
The person that was surprised the most was myself, because my buddy J.K. Harrison, who is a buddy from the old days, had been hounding me for years, like, dude, let's do a record. I want to do a record with you. And I always thought it was cute that he thought that I could do that. But he was tenacious and stayed on me, and it just hit me at a time when he'd moved to Los Angeles, and I was going to be in Los Angeles for about a week and a half and had some time off in between what I was doing there. And I thought, okay, you pain in the ass, let's get together and see, what we come up with. And at the very least, we'll have a bunch of drinks and a bunch of laughs, and I, hang out with my pal. And we wrote a couple songs like that. It happened so quickly, I was taken aback. And it started to take form. And I immediately became very frightened at the notion of getting out from behind the safety of the wood and the metal. Mm-hmm. And I thought there was going to be an internet backlash of, hey, Sucherman, what do you think? You're a big singing star now? Why don't you shut the hell up and get behind the drums where you belong?
That was Carmine.
But
when I sang, I just stayed behind the drums. I
Smart man.
I fronted the band when I sang a lot with BBA. I fronted BBA and from behind the drums. And I learned a lot, actually, but I didn't want to be up there. I go up there now when me and Vinny do something. I carry a snare drum on a strap, and I play the snares with a pick, and it creates a really cool effect. But that's the only time I like to come out, or if I come out and play stick clicking, But
I mean, you
get out there and sing, it just doesn't feel right.
No, but you sang, but even just the act of singing, like you did it from an early age, and whereas I didn't develop the confidence until later. You had that early on, playing or not, because it's one thing if someone, doesn't like your drumming or something, but when it's your voice,
it's personal.
It's really personal, and
you can't change your voice.
You can't. What's the
I
background
sang all my
between,
life. I started singing doo-wop when I was a kid, and then I did like all the gigs in the clubs. I sang songs. We did R&B songs. And I sang. We had singers. I sang some. I always sang background. It was always from the kit. Matter of fact, I didn't get a double bass drum kit earlier than when I did get it because I couldn't afford to buy a boom stand that I would have needed for the double bass kits for the mic, because I used to have the mic right here next to me, and if I had a double bass, I couldn't fit the mic in there. So,
what was the story behind Ad Lib Everything? One of my favorite titles.
That was a song that J.K. Harrison had pretty well completed. And it just had this sort of drunken pirate taking acid at the Moulin Rouge in 1890s sort of vibe to it. And I thought, well, that's interesting. Yeah. I thought let's do that. It had a couple like Bob Dylan in a pirate hat, and then with
it was a little Alice
moment.
Cooperish to me.
Yeah, I was charmed by the peculiarity of that piece of music. That it doesn't sound like anything except the elements that I just mentioned. So it people either get it or they don't. But I had a blast doing it, and actually I learned something about. When I played drums on that particular song, that was one song in particular. I envisioned, there's one or two moments that I might be able to do a little something over here, And then when I went to record it and I did it, it screwed up the song. It was like there was a narrator, and then in between a breath, like and drums, and back to the story. It totally screwed it up. So I thought, oh, geez, if I just really simplify this, smooth it out, and become part of the story instead of looking at it from a drummer's perspective, where can I sneak in a little something here? That was, even with all the experience I'd like to think that I have, every now and then the drummer's ego still wants to.
Yep. It pushed
you.
It seems like it pushed you.
That was a learning experience. That whole thing and that song in particular, actually.
So Matt, your podcast, I thought was really, really cool, really interesting perspective in a lonely place.
Yeah, well, it's funny. I don't do it anymore because I did it just during lockdown. Thank you for that. It was it's a Humphrey Bogart movie, a Smithereens song, and it was like it was a great title for being by myself in my apartment and just interviewing people. But I do have a new podcast that's coming out Friday, guys. I do want to tell you about. It's very short. So you don't have to invest too much time in it. They're 7 to 8 minutes long, and they're on Spotify, okay? And it's called Missed Riffs, and it's comedy. So imagine Behind the Music meets Spinal Tap and the Ruddles and things like that. That's what it is. It's fake bands and fake artists and their stories about how they were one riff away from superstardom, right? They don't exist. And these really crazy songs that these guys have written. So I'm working with these guys. It's really funny. If you go to Spotify now and check it out, there's a trailer on there. Once again, it's called Missed Riffs. And there's 3 short episodes coming out on Friday. They're always short. They're like I said, so you can blow through them in like 7 or 8 minutes. It's the story that is ridiculous, and then it's the song that's even crazier. So it's really fun. But there's a 2-minute. Cool. You guys will enjoy it because as music lovers, we all love music.
Send us the link.
I'll do that. I definitely will because you guys will really enjoy it.
And send the link. I want to say it.
Hey, Todd, I got to get your phone number. I'd like to talk to you more about the video stuff.
Yeah, right on, man. Sure. Well, I'm going to probably put you in touch with my engineer because he's the one that really does it. Yeah. But man, I can help out.
I'd like to talk to you about the Dom thing we just did. I want to see what part you played.
Well, I'm so busy this month. I thought, how am I going to do this? I'm completely thankfully slammed this month. Yeah. And then Dom said, well, maybe could you just do the 4-bar solo? And then maybe at the end I said, how can I say no? Yeah. So I did a 4-bar solo, and then I played from a letter T on the chart to the end. That's all I had time to do.
I didn't bother looking at the chart. I looked at the numbers on the thing. I said, no, I don't want to.
Hey, Matt,
chartless.
Chartless, Matt. You just yes, shirtless or chartless? Matt, you just mentioned
shirtless.
Chartless in Miami.
You mentioned Spinal Tap, Matt, but Todd, you've got history with those guys. I think you're either toured or on an album with them. I mean, that whole dynamic with Spinal Tap?
I did the Tonight Show with those guys in 2000. I did a couple other TV shows in 2009, and I played 2 songs on the Derek Smalls solo record. But yeah, clearly they're comedic geniuses. It's a firing squad of comedy, but they really play, and they want to play well. They take it seriously. They're wild.
Were they on 11? Were they on 11?
Well, I don't know about that, but I did see Christopher Guest bong like a Marshall head. He didn't like the sound of that one, and they brought him another one. He's into it. He's not just like, that's fine, I'm just doing this. They they want to play and have fun and sound good doing it.
I got a funny story about that. When that thing came out, that movie came out, I was with King Cobra, right? And we were playing theaters, little theaters, opening up for people. And I felt like I was living that thing, you know? Because we go to try and get to the stage and we got lost.
We did that too.
Downstairs in the boiler room, you know, where the hell's the stage? And then we go up on the bus and look at it on the bus, and I said, turn that off, man. I didn't even want to see that. I feel like I'm living this, because I just came out of, like, you know, Ozzy and Rod Stewart playing, you know, 6 nights at the Forum and all that stuff, and now I'm can't find the stage. I'm in the boiler room, you know.
We played 7 nights at the Forum, just for the record.
Yeah, okay.
All right,
But,
all right, you two.
Even backstage, we're playing the Daily Show with Jon Stewart, and those guys had ordered sandwiches. I went out for some pizza. I came back, and Christopher Guest opens up his sandwich and looks at me and goes, "Would you look at that?" And there was so much meat, and there was tiny little bread on there. And I'm like, all these years later, the man just wants large-sized bread. Can someone get him large-sized bread?
This writer.
That's great.
It's got to be
Turn
this
it up to
writer.
11.
That's the best. That's great.
Nah, that's
They're cool guys.
So you
But
guys,
Matt,
what you got? Are you still? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Oh, you were going to ask me what I'm doing? You know, I still have my
Yes.
syndicated
Yeah. What
radio
you got?
show.
You got
You know-
KLOS going?
Yeah, I have KLOS Sunday nights. I do like a new rock countdown where I also play, like what I do, it's interviews. So one week it's like, you know, it's Angus Young. The next week it's Royal Blood or like the Pretty Reckless, or, you know, or it's Sammy Hagar or Michael Anthony, or, you know.
Kodiak
So,
next.
yeah. And, you know, and I got a great time. Can I say I have a show coming out that I'm a part of that Carmine and I were just hanging out on shooting.
Yeah.
This great band from Jersey, Kodiak, who I love, right? Those guys are amazing.
Yeah.
And there's so much good young talent. So there's a show coming out that Alice Cooper and Gavin Rossdale and, you know, people like Lizzie Hill from Hailstorm are all judges on this thing called No Cover. And it's a rock music original song competition. So it's like the opposite of Voice in American Idol. You have to actually write your own songs, which is instead of doing covers. So we shot that show, and they're editing it right now, and I'm not sure which streaming service or network it's going to be on. But
It was a lot of fun, though. It was fun, you know,
yeah,
all my old friends.
I loved having you there, Carmine, because I got to pick your brain about the BBA albums and the Fudge records and everything. It was so much fun. You know, I always wanted to ask you, and we had a blast. It was great hanging with you there, you know. So.
That was fun.
So that's cool. And, you know, just so you know, like, yeah, I'm on KLOS Sunday nights. It's called New and Approved. It's a rock countdown of new rock. But then I do album anniversaries. So I'll, like, do something like Mob Rules or Holy Diver that, you know, you were on, Vinny, and talk about you guys. Or I'll do something that Carmine's on, or even Todd, you guys. Cool. So, like, I do. So it's not just new music. I'll do stuff, and I'll tell stories about songs and recording sessions. And
We
so
were listening to you on Sunday driving home with Nancy Wilson.
Oh, you heard it?
Yeah.
Oh, no
But
shit.
then I was waiting for the song. For
Oh,
Eddie
it came
Van
out.
Halen. And
It was playing.
come on.
Oh, the instrumental was playing under it because it was a quiet instrumental. Did you hear it?
No.
And then you didn't hear it? I don't know.
He can't hear.
And
He
yeah.
got hearing aids.
And I'm waiting.
Yeah.
Going,
He's a
this is
drummer.
cool.
Hello.
He's a drummer.
What?
Come on,
Yeah.
they can't hear nothing.
Yeah, believe it or not, I'll tell you a funny story. It was played under it because it's a very quiet instrumental. It was like the story of the song, and then we played her duet. She did a song with Duff McKagan and with Taylor Hawkins, Party at the Angel Ballroom, which was about like Tom Petty and Chris Cornell and people that had passed. So and Eddie, another song. So we played that, and then so Vinny, you're living in L.A.
Yeah, I'm down near Temecula.
No kidding.
San Diego. Yeah.
Dude, that's amazing. I didn't know you were listening. You got to come on the show then close. You know?
Yeah, I come on the show.
Yeah, you got to do that. It's crazy.
Send you an email
Yeah.
after this.
Yeah, we'll do that.
For
That's
your
good.
balls to be busted.
Yeah, I want all you guys on this show.
Just don't wear a
it's
white
fun.
jacket, I tell you.
Quit
Yeah.
picking on me. You.
Yeah.
Hey, Matt, we wish you the best. Todd, we hope, I'm sure you'll be hitting the tour circuit on the new, the 17th studio album, Styx, is dropping in June, Crash of the Crown. You'll probably be touring that this year, hopefully. You guys going out?
Yeah, we're going out. We're doing 9 shows next month. So,
Oh, that's great.
baby steps into a new world that we once knew very well, and it's going to be some new terrain.
Yeah.
Todd, I I gotta meet
think
you
it's-
one of these days.
Yeah, man. Right on.
And also, Tommy's going to be on the show soon. Just so he's going to be on the KLOS show.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah, just cool,
Tell him
you know?
hello.
Yeah, right.
Did you guys was the album made in lockdown? Like, is that how
Yeah.
it was done?
Yeah, I mean, I did everything here in 3 days, and then there you go, lads. Have at
Yeah.
it. So that's how we did it. I mean, I haven't seen any of the guys since February of 2020.
Wow.
Wow.
Well, Matt, maybe you could feature. I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think it's Paradise Theater's 40th anniversary this year of Styx. So
Yeah.
you feature that album on your show as a
Have to do something from
anniversary
it. Oh yeah. Anything.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Always. I love to go back and do album anniversaries and talk about the recordings and songs and what the songs are about. It's a blast. I mean, it's I live for that. I mean, I just love.
That's
music,
why
rock
your
history.
interviews are so good, Matt, because you're passionate about music, rock, everything, and
You live it.
and some of these guys do interviews, and you go, they seem bored, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. and-
You're in
All right,
it, man.
that's a shot.
Thank you,
isn't it?
Vinny. I
That's a
appreciate.
shot.
That's really nice of you to say. That means a lot to me.
Yeah,
guys, because-
yeah, it's really
That's good.
something.
It's good. Even I felt that when you did it at that No Cover show. You were
Yeah,
very enthusiastic, unlike most
Some
other
people.
interview guys. You know.
Yeah.
I had
a
an
shot at
interview
me.
the other day. The guy goes, "So in this other interview, you said that Tony Iommi." I'm going, "What are you reading the other interview for?"
Yeah,
I
just
did that
ask me.
interview. Come up with something new.
Yeah.
You know? Like,
You know,
God.
I gotta say this, guys. I mean, I just because I love music so much and I love rock and roll, and I really care about it passionately.
Right.
And,
that's
what you guys
shows.
are doing and thinking when you're creating and coming up with the ideas of the instruments that you play, and the songs that you write, to me, that's what I live for. It's my passion, and I've never lost any of that
That's
I've
great.
had since I was a kid. You know, because it's still what drives me. I mean, I just love music so much, and I'm really grateful. Guys, I'm super grateful that I'm still doing it all these years later.
You know what?
You know?
Yeah, we all are.
When we
Yeah,
get this
right.
new, you keep me hang. When we get this new song by Fudge out, we're gonna send you a copy.
Oh yeah, I'm dying to hear it, man. You know
It's
that.
got the same kind of power as Hanging On.
Yeah,
You know, Hanging On was mono.
I know, right? That's
Stereo. We're mixing this one mono. is what
yeah. I'm
I-
glad you're doing it. That's cool. You're doing it, mono. That's great.
Yeah, and I'm using my old Ludwig bass drum that has that old sound too. So
Yeah,
the
that
bass drum
record
was-
sounded like thunder, man.
The
It's so
bass drum was the
powerful.
loudest thing on You Keep Me Hanging On. It was the
Yeah,
loudest thing. on the whole record
it's
mix.
so great.
Yes.
I love that. It's just,
Matt,
it
we
never
just,
loses a power.
No.
You
Listen,
know?
Matt, we gotta thank you for joining us tonight. Very, very exciting to meet you and see you live in person. We wish you the best. Keep on going. Be strong for a lot of us out there. A lot of people are really appreciative of what you've accomplished, going through your struggles and being as successful as you've been. God bless you, brother.
Amen.
Todd,
thank you, guys.
all the best to you traveling on the road, hitting it hard, touring your new album. It's been an honor to talk to you and keep the Chicago blood going, brother. Really appreciate it. Todd Sucherman.
I had
Yes.
Lou Malnati's pizza tonight, just so you know.
See, he's a real deal, real deal guy. We're gonna send you some Gina's Juice hot dogs or some other things. We're gonna send
Hey,
you
you
some
gotta
Portillo's
you
out
gotta have
there.
some of Ron's meatballs.
Meatball.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great.
Killer meatballs.
Great
That's
meatball.
great.
Well, you know what? On that note, on that meatball note, Todd Sucherman, Matt Pinfield, thank you so much for joining us, hanging and
guys.
banging. Everybody, make sure you
Great to
smash,
see you guys. Thank you.
smash that Facebook page to like us and follow us on our YouTube channel, our podcast on Spotify. Hear us on iHeartRadio. We're here every Thursday, 6 o'clock Central, 7 p.m. Eastern on Hangin' and Bangin' Artists on Lockdown. Next week, you'll see the guys from The Alarm. Thanks for joining us. Thanks to my co-hosts, Carmine and Vinny. Love you, brothers. Have a great week, guys, and we'll see you next week, next Thursday on Hangin' and Bangin'.
Bye-bye.